All right, so you're getting ready for some pretty exciting travel,
Mm,
uh, and you're smart to be thinking about safety, even in those like super popular spots.
yeah.
We're talking like Rio, Cape Town, Mexico City.
It's like the classic travel dilemma, right?
Okay,
You've got the places that draw us in with all the beauty and the culture, but then
but then there's a whole other side
there's that other side.
that people don't really talk about,
Yeah, and it can catch you off guard.
for sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna break it all down for you.
Yeah.
We're hitting 10 cities: Rio de Janeiro, Cape Town, Mexico City, Naples, Manila, Marrakech, New Orleans, Barcelona, Kingston, and Caracas.
Wow. That's quite a list.
It is quite a list, but
Right.
we're not just going to like list out the dangers.
Right.
We're going to get into like the why.
The why.
Why are these places dangerous?
Yeah, why do these things happen?
Exactly. Most importantly, we're going to give you some real strategies to stay safe
Absolutely.
so you can actually enjoy these incredible places.
It's fascinating to me how these cities are almost like little tiny examples of these huge global problems,
Totally.
right? Crime, it's often a symptom of all this stuff going on underneath,
The socioeconomic factors.
Yeah, exactly. And if you understand that,
Yeah.
travelers can approach these destinations with more sensitivity and awareness.
100%. Okay, so let's start with Rio. I mean, who doesn't dream of those beaches? Carnival, the
Oh.
Christ the Redeemer statue.
It's iconic.
It's so iconic.
But Rio's beauty, it's really closely tied to these stark inequalities.
Yeah.
You've got these stunning beaches right next to favelas,
Right.
which are often controlled by gangs, and that can be a real shock for tourists
Yeah.
who are expecting just the postcard version.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's not just about avoiding certain areas.
Yeah.
It's about understanding like the complexities. You know,
Absolutely.
what are some strategies for navigating that? Like, especially for someone who wants to experience Rio authentically, but,
Right.
also stay safe.
I think there's this growing trend of guided favela tours.
How interesting.
But it's so important to choose operators who are ethical and respectful of the communities.
For sure.
It's a way to gain a deeper understanding of Rio's social fabric,
Yeah.
but also support local residents.
Absolutely. And what about the more common tourist areas like Copacabana, Ipanema?
Yeah.
I've heard stories about muggings,
Oh, yeah.
even during the day.
Those areas are definitely targets because of all the tourists.
Yeah.
Simple things like not flashing your expensive jewelry or electronics
Right.
can make a big difference.
Right.
And just be cautious about walking alone at night, especially in poorly lit areas.
Okay, so it sounds like situational awareness is key.
Absolutely.
Would you recommend any like specific self-defense strategies?
Oh, yeah.
Or like personal safety apps?
Absolutely. There are some great apps out there that can alert your emergency contacts or local authorities if you feel threatened.
Wow.
And learning even just a few basic self-defense moves can help you feel more confident.
Right. And react effectively if you're in a tricky situation.
So Rio's got all those layers of social complexity.
Yeah.
Now, Cape Town, totally different vibe, right?
Oh, yeah.
Stunning natural beauty, Table Mountain, but I know there are concerns about safety there too.
Cape Town's another one of those places where the picture-perfect landscapes
Yeah.
can hide a more troubled reality.
Yeah.
You're right. Table Mountain is breathtaking.
Oh, yeah.
But even the cable car ride up has had some security incidents.
Really?
And certain neighborhoods are heavily affected by gang violence, which sometimes spills over into tourist areas.
Oh, wow. So how do you advise navigating that?
Right.
Is it just about sticking to the well-known tourist spots?
It helps, but it's not a guarantee.
Right.
I always recommend researching the specific neighborhoods before you book accommodations.
Oh, that's smart.
And think about transportation.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable driving yourself?
Right.
Or would it be safer to use a reputable ride-sharing service or taxis? Okay, good point. Let's shift gears to Mexico City, a place that's high on my list for the food alone.
Oh, the food is amazing.
But I know it has a reputation for crime and even kidnappings,
Yeah.
which sounds terrifying.
Mexico City is a prime example of a place where the amazing food and culture and history
Yeah.
exists with a really serious crime problem.
Right.
And you're right, express kidnappings, they're a chilling phenomenon.
Yeah, what are those?
Basically, they'll force you to withdraw money from ATMs
Oh.
until they've completely cleaned you out.
Wow, okay, that's definitely not on the itinerary.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid becoming a target in a city like Mexico City where it seems like anything can happen?
A lot of it comes down to just minimizing opportunities,
Okay.
using licensed taxis or ride-sharing apps
All right.
instead of hailing cabs off the street. That's a big one.
Right.
Also, be mindful of your surroundings, especially at night.
Yeah.
If a street feels deserted, trust your gut and find a busier route that's well lit.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've got Rio's complex social dynamics,
Yeah.
Cape Town's security concerns,
Yeah.
and Mexico City's street smarts. Let's jump across the pond to Europe and see what Naples has in store.
Okay, sounds good. Ah, Naples. It's a city that just oozes history
Oh, yeah.
and charm, right?
Totally. But you've got to be on your toes there.
Yeah, you do.
I've heard stories about Naples.
Oh, yeah.
Pickpockets are practically legendary there, right?
They're practically artists,
Really?
especially in the Spanish Quarter.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
narrow, crowded streets.
Sure.
That's their playground.
So aside from the usual advice about, like, keeping your valuables close, any Naples-specific tips? I mean, these guys are pros, right?
Yeah, they are a money belt worn under your clothes. That's your best bet
Okay.
for keeping your cash and your passport safe.
Got it.
And try to blend in.
Right.
The more you look like a tourist,
Okay.
the more you stand out.
Okay. Blending in.
Mm.
Got it. Speaking of pickpockets, I know Barcelona has its fair share too, especially on La Rambla, that famous boulevard.
Oh, yeah. La Rambla is a pickpocket's paradise, unfortunately. It's so crowded, people are distracted.
Yeah.
And there are just so many opportunities for a quick, snatch and grab.
So La Rambla, admire it, walk it,
Yeah,
but maybe not the best place to pull out your phone for a selfie.
exactly. And be wary of anyone who bumps into you or seems overly friendly.
Right.
They might be trying to distract you while their accomplice makes off with your wallet.
Now, Manila, it's a city that seems so full of energy and life,
It is.
but I know there are areas where safety is a concern.
Hmm.
How do you balance experiencing that vibrancy while staying safe?
Yeah, Manila is a great example of a place where you need to be really selective
Yeah.
about where you go, and one areas like Quiapo and Divisoria Market,
Yeah.
known for amazing bargains.
Right.
But they're also hot spots for pickpockets and scams.
So maybe hit those markets during the day
Yeah,
with a local guide who can kind of help you navigate.
that's a great strategy, and always trust your gut.
Right.
If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Speaking of trusting your gut,
Yeah.
I'm curious about Marrakech. Those souks look incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But I've also heard stories about, like, aggressive vendors
Yeah.
and scams.
The souks are definitely an experience,
Yeah.
but they can be overwhelming. You've got to be firm and polite.
Uh-huh.
A simple no thank you goes a long way,
Right.
and agree on a price
Yeah.
before you commit to buying anything.
So haggling is part of the game, but set your boundaries.
Exactly.
Right now, back to the U.S., New Orleans, I'm thinking jazz beignets
Mm.
and a whole lot of fun,
Mm.
but also aware of the potential for crime, especially in the French Quarter.
Yeah, the French Quarter is amazing, but it's also a place where you need to be street smart.
Oh,
Petty theft is common, especially at night when people are out partying.
yeah.
Don't flash your cash, keep your phone secure, and if you're drinking, pace yourself.
Makes sense. So
Yeah.
common sense goes a long way. Now, Kingston, Jamaica, reggae beaches, but also a reputation for violence that's hard to ignore.
It's a shame that violence casts a shadow over Jamaica, because it really is a beautiful island with amazing people sticking to tourist areas, and using reputable tour operators is key.
Okay.
And if you venture out on your own, be extra cautious about who you interact with.
It's a reminder that paradise can have its dark sides. All right, last but certainly not least, Caracas. It's a city that's been through so much turmoil,
It has.
and the safety situation is really concerning.
Caracas is heartbreaking because it was once a thriving metropolis, but sadly it's become one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Even basic precautions might not be enough there. I'd recommend checking the latest travel advisories
Right.
and seriously considering if the risk is worth it.
That's sound advice. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the artistry of pickpockets in Naples to the complex realities of places like Caracas. Is there anything that ties all these destinations together in terms of safety? Any overarching principles to keep in mind?
I think the biggest takeaway is that awareness is your best defense. No matter where you go, being informed about potential risks and taking sensible precautions can make a huge difference. Don't let fear paralyze you,
Right.
but don't be naive either.
That's a great way to put it. So you're saying informed travelers are empowered travelers.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
I love that.
And a little bit of planning and preparation can go a long way in ensuring you have a safe and memorable trip.
So let's get practical. What are some specific things travelers can do to stay safe regardless of their destination? Guys, we've talked about the specific challenges in each of these cities, but what about those universal safety tips that apply no matter where you're traveling? The stuff that everybody should be doing.
Absolutely. And I think this is where it gets really interesting because it's not just about, external precautions.
Right.
It's also about cultivating that internal sense of awareness and intuition.
You're talking about that gut feeling,
Yeah.
that little voice that says, hey, maybe this isn't such a good idea.
Exactly. It's amazing how often we ignore those signals, especially when we're excited to be in a new place.
But that intuition, it's your internal alarm system.
Mhm.
It's often picking up on these subtle cues that our conscious minds just miss.
So how do we learn to trust that intuition? I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's a genuine red flag or just nerves about being in a new environment.
Practice.
Okay.
The more you pay attention to those gut feelings,
Yeah.
the better you'll get at figuring them out.
Right.
Start by noticing your physical reactions.
Okay.
Do you feel a knot in your stomach when someone approaches you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you suddenly feel like you need to leave?
Interesting.
Those are often your intuition trying to tell you something.
It's like our bodies are trying to send us a message,
Yeah.
even if we don't consciously register it. So what do we do with that information?
Don't ignore it.
Yep.
Even if you can't logically explain why you feel uneasy, just remove yourself from the situation.
Right.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
That makes sense. It's
Yeah.
about giving ourselves permission to trust those instincts.
Absolutely.
Okay, so intuition is key. What else can we do to boost our travel safety game? Preparation.
Okay.
It's huge research. Your destination, thoroughly read reviews from other travelers, and check for any travel advisories or safety warnings.
So it's like doing your homework before a big test.
Yeah,
The more you know, the more confident and prepared you'll be.
exactly.
What about practical stuff like packing
Yeah.
and carrying valuables? Any tips there?
Don't pack anything you can't afford to lose.
Okay.
Consider using a money belt or a hidden pouch for your passport, cash, credit cards,
Okay.
and spread your valuables out.
Right.
Don't keep everything in one place.
So if one bag gets lost or stolen, you're not completely stranded.
Exactly.
What about staying connected? Is it a good idea to have your phone out all the time for maps and translations and stuff?
Technology can be a lifesaver,
Yeah.
but it can also make you a target.
Right.
If you need to use your phone, step into a shop or a well-lit area and be wary of public Wi-Fi networks.
Yeah.
Avoid accessing sensitive information like your bank account on unsecured networks.
That's good advice. Now, I know a lot of people like to venture off the beaten path. Any safety tips for the more adventurous traveler?
If you're exploring remote areas, always let someone know your itinerary and expected return time.
Okay.
Consider hiring a local guide who knows the area well and make sure you've got the right gear and supplies for the terrain and conditions.
Okay, so planning and preparation are key for any type of travel, whether you're sticking to the tourist trail or going off the grid. Any final words of wisdom for our listener before they embark on their adventures?
Travel is an incredible gift. It broadens our horizons, it challenges our perspectives, and it creates memories that last a lifetime by being informed, prepared, and trusting your intuition. You can embrace the adventure while minimizing the risks.
Beautifully said. I think we've equipped our listener with a whole arsenal of safety tips and strategies.
I hope so.
Remember, a little bit of knowledge and a healthy dose of common sense can go a long way in ensuring you have a safe and amazing journey. Bon voyage.
Safe travels.